What's up, everybody? I'm AwesomeNES, and today I wanted to talk about something like really kind of crazy that happened in the Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. I almost said Arc 5. The Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS anime. I made a video. I'll bring you back to that in a second. In episode 47, we see this player. I think they're just calling him Unknown. I haven't kept up with the anime that much, but someone sent me a link to this the other day, and I'm just like freaking out over this. So, yes, they were calling him Unknown, I think, used a card that he called a Link Spell. And now the Link Spell had arrows pointing left, or top left, top, and top right. And, first of all, that's insane that a spell card can have those three arrows by itself opening 3 zones. That is insane. But what it actually gets me is that I made a video talking about an idea I had for a card similar to this, except it only had a single zone and pointed straight up into the column that you place the spell card into. Now, if you want to see that video, I'll link it in the description below, and also a video in the description of the actual scene from the anime, thanks to another user who uploaded the clip. But today, I wanted to talk about how surprising it is that a card like that actually exists, at least in the anime's universe, whether or not it could come into the game, and then compare it with my card and see how we could balance both of them to make a better card for if or when it comes into the game. Okay, so to start things off, I want to talk about the card I made, where in my video I called the card Linked Up, and I just couldn't really come up with a better name. This one was like Link's Judgment or something, and that's way crazier than I would have ever expected a name for a card like that to be. Anyways, with my card Linked Up, it points straight up, there's an arrow on the card, and it says that the monster zone in the column that this card is placed is now treated as or the main monster zone in the column that this card is placed is now treated as an extra monster zone as well, and that you could only activate one of these per turn, suggesting that you could have multiple in order to do what this one card in the anime could do. Now, when we look at the one from the anime, it had, like I said, 3 zones immediately opened up, but there are a lot more restrictions to it, which I don't think don't really make sense, because what this guy had to do was play a trap card that moved his monster to a zone it pointed to, so he could place the spell, so the monster would point directly to the spell, and it would point back, opening the other 2 up. Which I'm thinking, if you're going to do that, you might as well just, I don't know, maybe make another Link monster, or that's just really situational. Plus, you could only control one of them, and it could not be destroyed. That is insane! The whole controlling one, that's probably a lot better than mine, whereas I said you could only activate it once per turn. Only being able to control one period, especially if it's going to point in multiple directions, makes a lot more sense and won't completely bust boards. Like, what I'm afraid of is seeing this in a Pendulum Magician deck. I think after the next ban list, Pendulum Magicians won't be as much of a threat, but they will still be around. Pendulum Magicians adapt like crazy, and they're always around. So, having a card like that, and then Pendulum Magicians, it'll just be like the old days where they were just like, play a monster, you killed it, oh no, bring them all back, and then full board every turn. And it's a lot of fun to deal with. I'm slightly getting off topic, so I'm going to go ahead and start comparing the 2 cards. I started doing that a little bit, but what could we do to actually make this fair and not too difficult to use when it comes into the game? Now, I think we should keep a couple aspects of mine and then a few aspects of the anime card. My biggest thing that I say is to make one zone open. That the spell card should not have actual link pointers, link markers, or whatever. Because first of all, if anything points left, right, bottom left, bottom, or bottom right, what's the point of that? It's not going to point at your monster zones. And the worst thing I could think of is that it opens zones in your spell and trap zone or below it in order to make an additional board. And that's insane, and I don't want to think about that at all, so we're not even going to make that an option. What I think should happen is that, like I said, it should keep a single zone directly above where the card is placed. I do like that this card you could only control one of. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in for the new effect. And I do think it should be able to be destroyed. But however, if it is destroyed, the monster in the zone would not be because I think that makes more sense. I don't think that one did that. I mean, it said it couldn't even be destroyed, so I don't really know how that works. But I also don't think that you need a Link monster to point directly to it. I think if you're not playing any Links at the moment, or like, let's say you play a deck that doesn't play Links, you activate this spell card in the zone, or in your spell and trap zone, and then the column in front of it, or the main monster zone in that column, is now also an extra monster zone. So let's say you're playing Old School Elemental Heroes or something, and you have Burstinatrix and Avion in your hand with a Polymerization and a Miracle Fusion. So you play that Polymerization with the Burstinatrix and Avion, throw them to the graveyard, and now you've got Flame Wingman in your extra monster zone, and then you can activate this spell card that opens another extra monster zone, activate Miracle Fusion, banish those cards, and now you have Phoenix Enforcer in the main monster zone that is now treated as an extra monster zone as well. But I basically just wanted to cover that, about how the fact that the anime actually is just presented a card similar to what I was talking about before makes me kind of really happy, but also a little afraid of the card itself. I really hope Konami fixes that if it comes to the card game, which I would love to see. I would love to see a card like this in the card game, just not quite as ridiculous. Like I said, just kind of the one we talked about throughout this video. And I want to know your guys' thoughts on it as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye!